All right, I'll give you an injury update here as we get started. So Micah Hyde will not practice, nor will Leonard Floyd and Dawson Knox. And then Terrell Bernard will be limited, and then Jordan Phillips is out out today with an illness.
What is it for Dawson?
Back. Yeah.
Bernard.
Just lower leg. Yeah.
Hey, Sean, the Washington defensive line is maybe one of the best in the league. Can you kind of quantify the challenge your guys are going to have this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of former first-round picks along that front, and they have 7 sacks last week and I think 14 quarterback hits or so. It's impressive. So, we're going to have to do a good job of it's got to be, just not the offensive line, but it's got to be everyone involved in trying to make sure that we manage that as much as we can.
Any similarities to the Jets and how they do things?
Well, the talent is what jumps off the film right away, and the twitchiness of their defensive line, and they're deep, so that's a good thing for them. I mean, that's how you build good defenses. It starts up front.
Sean, a lot was made in the offseason about losing Tremaine Edmonds. How do you think Matt and Terrell, and even the way you've been using Taylor Rapp, have kind of filled that void and what they've done and how they've looked, how that whole operation's looked without Tremaine 2 games in the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the NFL, right? We love Tremaine, and super happy for his success as it relates to the guys that we have here. I think they're off to a good start and learning and growing. 2 of those 3 in those roles are new this year in terms of playing significant time for us.
The innovative, I guess there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I guess this is how you're going towards in that direction when it comes to adjusting to 2 off-season losses. Is that a fair way to put it?
I'm not really sure what you're.
Well, I mean, just the way you're working in an undersized linebacker in Terrell, and kind of like working in Rapp into a third safety role. Is that among the options that teams have when it comes to adapting to filling to losing players and adapting to those losses?
Yeah, I mean, just overall, I would say generally, those are 2 good football players that we have confidence in, and those 2 guys that you mentioned, and you use everyone on your roster. That's what you get paid to do as a coach, and we're very confident in those 2 guys. They're good football players, and they're young in terms of the amount of time that they've been with us or played, been on the field for us. But that being said, they work extremely hard, and we can't wait to watch them as the season unfolds continue to grow.
Sean, Washington's offense with Eric, do you see a lot of similarities foundation-wise from Kansas City where he spent so many years?
Some. Yeah, there's definitely some, and it looks like Eric's put his own signature on it as well, and they're 2-0 and off to a great start.
Sam Howell, only 3 starts, but 1,100 passes in college. Can you see that experience coming through with the way he's adjusting the situations in game?
Yeah, right. He's been very impressive to this point, and it doesn't appear that it's too big for him, and that's what you read about when articles about him and who he is as a person and what his teammates say about him. So it looks like they've got a good one on their hands.
We talked about, early in the season, teams figuring themselves out, let alone each other, that sort of a thing. So you don't want to read into too much, but their resiliency, the rallying ability that they've shown in the first couple of games, What do you read into that, and what does that say about them?
Well, I think it's a good thing for them, obviously, and anytime you get off to a 2-0 start and you're feeling like we've also come from behind, those are things you learn about your team early on, and so I'm sure they're feeling very confident in their situation, and they should. They're off to a 2-0 start.
Sean, after all you guys went through last year, off the field stuff, are you more prepared or maybe have a better perspective on dealing with the highs and lows of a regular season? Because you've gone through 2 pretty big ones to start this year, both weeks.
Because of last year, you say we feel like we're more equipped to deal with the adversity this year.
Equipped is a good word, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like I've said before, I think experience is a good teacher, and it's good to have on your resume. And I think you lean on that experience from years past, but you're also trying to build your own identity, looking ahead and going forward. So I think for sure, yeah, it tends to be a great teacher, and if used the right way, it can benefit you.
Sean, I know you were asked about the job Kingsley did as a scout team last week because Spencer had mentioned it, but just overall, how important is it that those guys and that unit, whether it's practice squad, scout team, if they're going to be inactive, understand their roles throughout the week and how that can permeate through the organization when something does translate like it did on Sunday?
Right. I think two things that come to mind are unselfish. That's a great character trait of good teams, but also people. And I think that just to me is an expression of unselfish approach, yet not settling on what their current role might be and trying to push forward into earning playing time or getting themselves elevated off of the practice squad, which is a good thing.
Sean, can you talk a little bit about just the evolution you've seen with James Cook coming off his first 100-yard game in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, he's, when we drafted James, it was well documented what he could do out of the backfield in terms of the passing game. And, it's been fun to watch him grow. When he first came here, he was very quiet, and he still is rather quiet, but inside of kind of that quiet personality is a phenomenal young man that, I've been pleased and honored to be around, watching him grow and on the field, off the field. And, now what we're seeing on the field is, when he puts his mind to it, he can really run the ball.
To go off that, he's got over 100 yards rushing after contact. Is that an underrated skill of his, just to continue the play even after he gets hit?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at maybe his stature, people wouldn't put that, maybe in his strength in his column of strengths necessarily, but he's a tough guy, and he runs when he runs with a purpose. He runs that way as well in terms of he's tough to bring down and probably plays bigger than he looks.
You mentioned he's come out of his shell some, even though he is definitely still quiet. How do you see that kind of balance show up of, he is showing a little more personality, it seems, from our vantage point at least?
Yeah, I think, just him getting comfortable and trusting the environment a little bit more. And everyone's different. Everyone has different personalities. And I love the fact that he's true to himself and lets his play do most of the talking for him. And he loves football, and I have a lot of respect for that.
Sean, maybe a little bigger picture here. You were just asked a second ago about what you all went through last year. Look at what Washington's been through as a franchise. 2-0 start. What does that say, maybe, or speak to what you know about Ron or his leadership and the influence that can have in situations?
Yeah, I mean, Ron, I think he just won his 100th game, right, as a head coach. I mean, that's a heck of an accomplishment in and of itself, let alone with everything that's been going on. And I don't even, pretend to know everything that's been going on. But he's a great leader and a great head coach. And all the accolades he's received. I think he's got Coach of the Year twice, I believe. I know he's been up for it at least twice or a finalist. So he's well deserving of all the attention he gets.
Are there aspects of that have influenced you?
I'm sorry?
Are there aspects of that have influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, you learn from those around you. You try and take the best that you see from those around you, and I've learned a lot by being around Coach, and whether it be in Philadelphia for those years working under Andy Reid, both of us, or in Carolina when I was working under Coach Rivera.
Sean, speaking of Miles,
There's a lot of, you just alluded to it, there's a lot of branches to that tree.
Mm-hmm.
Is it harder or easier to coach against people you've coached with?
I think when you first start, when you kind of go off and you first start, it's something different that week. But once you've been around it a little bit, and now with as many people kind of that branch that are out there. There's quite a few of us out there in the league now that have been out there for a number of years. So, it's a little bit more of respect, number one, but also, hey, we both have a job to do.
Speaking of milestones, this is your 100th game. From what I can see. Anything that stands out over, can you reflect back to 2017 and what might stand out over this 100 game stretch?
You're about to say 100 years? Yeah. If we're both here in 100 years, we're both in trouble, man, right? No, I'm grateful. I really am. It's, when you get a job, you're never sure how long it's going to last, and especially in this day and age, regardless of what the job is, it seems. And grateful for the people that have been around me to help me and my family, and we've had some great players as well. So, and as you mentioned, Ron, and all the people that I learned from. I mean, you don't get into this job. You can get into this job sometimes, but it comes and goes rather quickly if you're not prepared. So I'm thankful to all those like Ron that helped me be prepared.
Sean, you guys have faced a couple of the top end wide receivers in week 1 and week 2. What have you seen from Tre'Davious White? Obviously mentally the hurdle that he was trying to clear come off last year.
Yeah, again, a great example of mental skill and mental toughness in the way that he's handled it. He's always worked physically incredibly hard. And then to watch him come back last year and battle through knowing he wasn't himself, for him knowing even he wasn't himself, and now, this season, being able to close that gap like he has, and each week get better and better is again, I think a testament to his mental toughness and skill.
Are you starting to see glimpses of pre-injury Tre'Davious White now?
Flashes, yeah, and I think with more time that passes, we'll see more and more of it.
Just got the AFC Offensive Player of the Week for the 11th time. He usually downplays individual awards, but do you think it means anything different to him coming off just kind of the week and a half of a tough Monday night game, strong game Sunday, to have that rewarded?
Well, I'm sure he's grateful. He's very humble, and I think that's a good approach. But I think it's a great teacher. That game was. It's a great teacher. And that's one you kind of keep on your shelf and refer back to from time to time as you grow and move forward.
He's obviously, won the award, which is great. He's had more explosive games for sure. Do you think last week was maybe the best, he used his best version of himself. Do you think last week the way he played might be maybe the best version of Josh, the way he played that game?
That I can remember, because he's gotten a number of those. There's, probably the I don't know if the word's just solid, right? Just a solid performance. He made his plays that he needed to make, where he really was spectacular, call it. And then, but overall, for the bulk of the day, he played really good, solid football, and I think that's the thing he needs to, and we need to take out of that game, and perhaps even refer back to from time to time. As I said, as a good, you kind of put it on your shelf, and it's a good trophy to have up there, because it's a good reminder of that you can do it when playing a certain way. You can still be in some ways spectacular, but also play really winning, really high level winning football.
You get the sense that that's sinking in.
I'm sorry?
You get the sense that that's sinking in with him at this point. I mean, he alluded to it himself. Year 6, he should, coming out of the Jet game, should kind of know better at this point. You get a sense, maybe it reinforces it, what happened last weekend, that he knows that's the way he needs to play and do it consistently.
Yeah, I mean, it's one game at a time right now, and the most important thing right now is today's practice, but also the discipline that comes with when you play that type of way. What do you carry forward? What type of discipline do you carry forward with you as an individual in this case, but for all of us, me as a coach, us as a team? That's a difficult thing to do and a challenging thing to do, but that's what's required, and that's the standard.
I know you 2 more, please. I know you'll give credit to the players for the way that the defense performed, but looking at it, your second game being the defensive coordinator, how pleased were you with the in-game adjustments from week 1 to week 2, especially the opening drive that the Raiders put together. How pleased were you with the way that the defense was able to adjust you, the rest of the coaches, the team as a general?
Yeah, I was very pleased. Sometimes you don't see those things or it's not talked about, but the staff I thought did a phenomenal job, really staying linked up and communicative in terms of what was going on, and the players were not phased. They settled in and executed, and like I said, I felt like I could have put them in some better positions early in the game, and that's on me. So. Just overall, I think that was probably something that's not talked about a lot, but the in-game adjustments are very important.
And you might have knocked some rust off too from week 1. I know you did the preseason, but week 1 to week 2, when to talk to players, you're watching the game, you're doing like you said, multiple hats. Is that something that you had to get back in the groove of?
Yeah, I'm still knocking. I'm still knocking some of that rust off. Yeah.
Touchdown the Raiders scored an illegal play.
In what way?
He caught the ball past the line of scrimmage and already had 2 offensive linemen out in front of him.
Yeah.
It wasn't it?
Well, I guess not.